Alright, so this is my audience for my third speech. According to the last EPA survey in 2013, the United States has produced over 254 million tons of trash. That means that each person has produced 205 pounds of trash, 49 pounds of which ends up in the ocean. In this speech, I want to propose a way to reduce our plastic usage in our daily life and also save a little bit of money. In addition to doing research over this topic, I took a health class this semester and we talked about reducing plastics, and I came up with a pretty good list of things for an everyday college lifestyle. Having said that, I want to persuade you to adopt everyday techniques that can reduce the number of plastic that ends up in our ocean. Now I want to explain the importance of reducing plastic usage, introduce the steps and ways to reduce plastic waste, and to assess positive and negative outcomes. Now I want to explain the importance of minimizing our plastic footprint. These days, it's pretty much impossible to go to the store and not buy anything made of plastic. Plastic waste ends up in the ocean and is a problem, and it is of increasing significance and will continue to based on current trends. I'm sure we've all been to the beach and seen an insane amount of trash along the shore. This is just a small percentage of the actual amount of trash that's in the ocean. Plastic waste is affecting every single type of living organism in the ocean. Turtles, fish, and marine animals all are affected by this by swallowing the plastic, mistaking it for food, and then thinking they're filled up because of the plastic and eventually dying. Also, coral reefs are affected because whenever the plastic lands on the coral, the coral absorbs toxic chemicals and the coral reef eventually dies. In addition to that, plastic floating above the coral can cause the coral reef to not get enough sunlight and also die. According to National Geographic, in the Planet of Plastic series, only 9% of plastic actually gets recycled. This proves that by just recycling, you're not doing near enough to prevent the negative effects of plastic. The joint group of experts on the scientific aspects of marine environmental protection have estimated that land sources account for up to 80% of world sea population, and of that, 60 to 95% is plastic waste. 6.3 billion out of the 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic that is produced in the world becomes waste. The US produces over 300 million tons of plastic per year, and according to Plastic Oceans, over half of that is just single-use plastic. If nothing changes, by 2050 we'll have more plastic in the ocean than there is fish. Now, it may not sound like the overuse of plastic is affecting people, but it very well could be. It's been proven that microplastics harm fish and small organisms by clogging up their digestive tracts, and though not a lot of research has been conducted, these effects could happen on humans as well. Beaches can also quickly be overrun by plastic pollution just by people littering and not throwing away their trash. An article by The Telegraph says that resorts and hotels along the beach have gotten into so dire situations that they're starting to bury their trash rather than spend time and money taking it away. Now that you're aware of how severe the problem of plastics in the ocean is, I want to provide a few easy solutions to help reduce the amount of plastic waste. I know it might sound hopeless to reduce the amount of plastic that you purchase, but there are some easy techniques and ideas that I have that make it pretty easy to eliminate. I want to advise that you reduce your use of single plastic and look to more reusable forms of plastic. I want you to stop using single-use plastic water bottles, stop using plastic bags at the grocery store, and stop using plasticware, straws, and things like disposable razors. That may sound like a lot to ask, but all of these things have reusable or metal alternatives. The Plastic Oceans Organization states that over 100 billion plastic beverage bottles were sold in 2014, 57% of which were single-use water bottles. That adds up to 315 water bottles per person per year. Because plastic bags are petroleum-based, they don't biodegrade. And according to the US EPA, we use more than 380 billion plastic bags a year. Paper or cloth bags are a completely fine alternative though. And for the most part, Plastic straws and razors, disposable razors, are popular for the very reason that they're bad, because they're disposable and easy to throw away and not meant to last. Lucy Siegel, an eco lifestyle expert, is a strong supporter of reusing plastics rather than simply recycling, because at most time recycling is not effective. And in a study done by an honors program at Mercer University, they found that reusing plastic is much more effective than recycling, because for the most part it's too expensive to recycle and the turnaround product is dismal. And Bob Householder of Sunoco Products, which makes plastic bags, admits that even though plastic bags can be recycled, it often doesn't happen because of contaminants, and it's more expensive to turn old bags into new bags rather than just make new ones. Meanwhile, paper comes from trees and is a completely renewable resource. You might think that reusing plastics isn't reasonable because it's more expensive. And if you consider that every person uses 315 water bottles per year, assuming a 24-pack of water costs just $3, you'd have to find a water bottle that costs over $40 for you to not be saving money. The same is true with razors, because most people think that the price difference between disposable razors and more lasting razors are so different. Plasticware is mostly used just so people can dispose of it and throw away it immediately, but if you were to get long-lasting metal flatware, it lasts most people a lifetime and would definitely reduce the amount of plastic you use. And straws are generally popular just because they're given to you. You don't really necessarily need one if you think about it. Mostly you just use it because it comes with every drink that you get in a restaurant. Now I really want to express how these small changes could drastically decrease the problems of plastic waste in the ocean. Even though you might not be able to see a difference, the changes would definitely be occurring. If we continue to abuse these plastics, the oceans will be overrun, and in 30 years, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. And beaches are already being damaged, and many tropical places and getaways like Bali would start to disappear. They wouldn't be a paradise anymore. However, if we start using reusing these plastics now, the level of plastic waste could actually start to decrease. An article on How Stuff Works states that if a family of 4 recycled and reused plastic waste, it would eliminate nearly 340 pounds of carbon equivalent emissions per year. I hope that I've illuminated the possible outcomes of reusing some plastics in your life. Having said that, I want to introduce these new and pretty easy ways to reduce the number of plastic waste. I've explained the importance of reducing plastic usage, introduced ways to reduce plastic waste, and we've assessed the positive and negative outcomes of this problem. Hopefully now I've supplied you with enough information about the severity of the problems in plastics, and I urge you to go out and accept and take on these ideas and help reduce the plastic problem. Implement these things in your life, and you can help preserve the health and beauty of our oceans.